Broadway Interludes presented by Art Lab. I'm your host, Megan Chocolates, and today I am joined by the oh-so-talented Kara Lindsay!
Oh, wow,
Thank you! Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Meg.
I'm so excited. Sorry.
I'm excited.
So excited.
I'm excited too.
Okay, great. Then let's get into it.
Okay.
To kick things off, I'd love to start by asking, how did your theatrical journey begin?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'll try to keep it short, but it probably won't be.
Okay.
So I grew up playing sports and also dancing.
What sports?
So, soccer and basketball.
Oh, come on.
I was like mediocre at basketball, but pretty okay with soccer. And then I also danced, and I started doing competition dance. Not like Dance Moms, like less intense,
Gotcha.
but very fun. And when I was in 6th grade, a lot of my friends were auditioning for our middle school musical, and it was Pirates of Penzance, and they needed more tapping cops, and I knew how to tap.
Right.
So I was like, well, I could go and try, and all my friends were auditioning, and I wanted to be a part of it with my friends. And they got in, and I was like, well, I hope I get in too. I could be with them. And I got in, and I was a tapping cop, Tarantara, and and I had the time of my life. It was the best. It like married all the things I love to do, the teamwork of telling a story together, which was sort of like the teamwork of playing a game, sort of, and then dancing, and then this new element of singing. And my sister grew up, she loves musicals, she still does. She was obsessed with Annie, obsessed with Rent, Into the Woods, all the things. So she sort of introduced me to musicals, and we would sing at home a lot. So I didn't know if I could match pitch or not. I just enjoyed like singing along. So I started taking voice lessons when I was in 7th grade because I wanted to do the next musical, which was George M. Not often done. And auditioned for that, and I got in, and I had this little song, and I was so nervous, so terrified. I just stared at the music director the whole time, singing my little song. And we had this little choreography, and I got through it, and I was like, I think I had a good time. Anyway, I just kept doing it, and I started doing show choir, and I kept dancing. And when I was a junior or senior in high school, my drama teacher said, you know, Kara, you could possibly do this for a living if you wanted to. And I was like, no, I don't. Really? You can get paid for this? And she's like, yeah, just try, audition for some colleges and universities and see how it goes. And I wanted to deep down. I was obsessed. I remember wanting to go to every single touring production that came through Rochester, New York, which is where I grew up. And I just would sit in my seat glued to these performers, and I would take the master classes that they would give going through the theater, and I was obsessed. And so I was just a little nervous to actually try it. But, I was like, if I don't try, I'll never know, and I'll be devastated. So I auditioned for all these musical theater programs, and I only got into 2. I got into Carnegie Mellon University and Fredonia State.
Okay.
And both were great. And and then the rest is sort of history. I don't know if you want me to continue. But Carnegie Mellon really was sort of like the launching pad into my career. It was like the most amazing experience for me. It was the challenge I needed. I learned so much. I went to a public school. So when I went to Carnegie, and it was an acting musical theater major, there was so much Shakespeare. And, the only Shakespeare I was exposed to was Romeo and Juliet. Everything beyond that, I was like, what?
Oh, there's more?
There's more. I just know musicals. Give me a time step. I'll be there. But I learned so much, and I feel like I grew as a performer and who I am in this world. Because I think they really want you to learn more about yourself also, because that informs you as an actor. So, I'm really grateful.
Now, you did your wonderful 4 years.
I did.
And then at the end of those 4 years, do you remember what you performed during your showcase?
I do. For my showcase, I sang a Pasek and Paul song from Edges, because we did Edges one of our performances my senior year, and they came to see us because we were the same year. They were at Michigan and we were at Carnegie, and they came to see our performance of their show.
Amazing.
No big deal, before they were like, Greatest Showman. But it was so cool. Such great music. I sang Lying There at the Snapple Theater.
Snapple Theater.
The Snapple Theater. It sucks your sound, but it was great. It worked. That's how I got my agent. Right. I was with BRS. Now they're BRS Gage, but yeah, I'm still with the agent from that office, Tim Marshall, to this day.
Wow, that's amazing.
He's been amazing. He's my champion forever and ever. So grateful.
Now, we all know that it went well after that point, but I was just curious, at what moment did you feel like, wow, I'm really doing it? Like, in that regard, what was your first big break?
I know you asked me this earlier, but I feel like I think it was Little House on the Prairie, the musical, because it was this big national tour, and also Melissa Gilbert played Ma, and she played Laura Ingalls Wilder in the TV series. So it was this big deal. I was working with a celebrity, and there was a lot of buzz around it. And I worked really hard for that audition, and Laura was the show, which was a big deal and scary and amazing and like, wow. I also met my husband doing that show. Kevin Massey, he played Almanzo Wilder. It's very wholesome. We got married on stage every day. So very
foreshadowing.
Sweet. Yeah. But before that, actually, when I graduated college, I did Lone Star Love, the musical.
Okay.
With Randy Quaid. It was a smaller part, but that was my first professional job in New York City. And that was supposed to come to Broadway, and it did not. I don't know if you're young, but this was like a big dramatic thing in the theater community because we ended up kicking Randy Quaid out of the union. And we went to equity court. Did you know that was a thing?
No.
It is.
I'm learning.
Okay. Yeah, so he was doing some inappropriate things, and it's a long story, but it was my first professional job, and I learned a lot. But that was Robert Horn wrote the script for Lone Star Love, and he is now doing Shucked. He is hilarious.
Okay.
One of the most amazing scriptwriters ever. He did Tootsie as well. He won a Tony. So amazing.
Come on, Tootsie.
Yeah, but what a journey, Lone Star Love.
Now, you said that was your first professional gig in New York City.
Oh.
What was your first professional gig? Because I know the answer.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, I did some summer stock at West Virginia Public Theater.
Wow, you don't say.
I did. I played a funny girl in Beauty and the Beast. I did a Thoroughly Modern Millie. I was one of the tappers.
Oh, cute.
Calling back to, Pirates of Penzance. And I did Cats. I played Demeter.
That is so fun.
It was Cats.
That's a fun season.
Cats is very fun to be in.
Oh, I can imagine.
You're crawling around on the floor.
Yeah. Normal
like
things.
Cat conversations. Theater's fun.
Yeah. Now, of course, we know you have graced both the national tour and the Broadway stage as Glinda in Wicked. Do you happen to have a favorite memory from either of those productions that you'd like to share?
I know. It was all so much fun. Playing Glinda was the most fun I've ever had on stage because there's she's playful. It's just play and improv and that interaction with the audience. It just was so much fun. But I think it's all the connections I've had with different Elphabas. And I know that's not a specific memory, but I'm still connected with all of them. And we text often. Caroline Bowman, who's now Elsa on the tour. Laurel Harris lives in West Orange. We're neighbors, so we and our babies are friends. All of them. Rachel Tucker, we still keep in touch. She's amazing. So it's just, and Lily Cooper was one of my Elphabas, and we ran into each other on the street, and she just had a baby, and well, not just anymore. What is time? He is driving, but. Yeah, it's just all the connections with those Elphabas because you really share such an intense journey through those 2 hours and 45 minutes. And especially on tour, you grow very close with these people. Jackie Burns was my last Elphaba, and we did it in LA. Still very tight. So, yeah, my answer is my connection with all the Elphabas. That's my favorite memory because it's still living on.
What was your favorite costume throughout the show?
I think I liked the pink popular dress.
Okay.
Because it felt like a little pom-pom.
Right.
And it felt the most like her.
Yeah.
You know, just so bouncy and vibrant.
There's been a lot of debate online recently about Glinda because people are unsure if her color is pink or blue because apparently she wears blue more often than she wears pink.
Well, the popular dress used to be blue.
See, that's why everyone's like, you think pink and green when you think Wicked.
Right. Well,
But
pink goes good with green. That's what
exactly.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. This is a tough question.
Yeah.
I think pink feels more her personality.
Right.
But she does wear blue,
Yeah.
I guess, a bit more. Okay, this is... I don't know. What do you think?
Groundbreaking journalism happening.
Yeah. I'd say pink because it feels like that's her spirit color.
Great. Noted.
Okay.
Pink it is. Take that.
I mean, from my
Internet.
perspective.
Now, same question, but moving on to Newsies.
Yeah.
You got to originate a role, which is so exciting and so special, and just like, your heart must have been so full.
Very.
Yeah. Now, throughout that process, because that, originating is so different than just like stepping into a role. Do you happen to have a favorite memory from that production?
Oh, there's like so many. I feel very lucky to have done both those shows, but Newsies was incredible, and there's so much young energy surrounding that show because half of us were making our Broadway debut, and it's Newsies. They're all young. All of us were young. But it just, I think the memory that sticks out in my brain was when we were working on Watch What Happens, and it was just Jeff Calhoun, our director, and I, and Jack Feldman, who's the lyricist, and I think Michael Cosrin, the music supervisor. It was just us, and they really let me just play, and I was so young, and I knew I could. I knew I had the choices, and I knew what I wanted to do, and I was nervous that I didn't want to overstep. Right. As the actor, I was like, I want to do what they are envisioning. But I'm so grateful that they let me play, and they trusted that I would bring myself, and that was what they wanted. And I think it was just so eye-opening, and I remember thinking, wow, this is what I dreamed of, this moment where I got to just play and create this role and this moment in a show that will be frozen. Yeah. Not the musical, you know what I mean. So I remember that, and I still thank Jeff Calhoun for that. He was really wonderful. And Jack Feldman too. He would come up to me and be like, what do you think about that lyric? Do you think that's okay? I'm like, you're Jack Feldman. Yes, of course it's okay. I don't know. Yeah, it's great. But singing for Alan Menken too. I mean, he came in for one press opportunity, and he played Something to Believe In for Jeremy and I was like, I can't believe this is real life. I cannot believe this is real life. So I'm just so grateful for that. It was awesome, and we all are still very close. All of us that were a part of Newsies through the years. So we've had Zoom parties. We had our 10th anniversary concert together. Right. Lots of tears and gratitude. And I saw Andrew Keenan-Bolger at the Lion King 25th anniversary show. And Disney is so loyal. So they keep reaching out, they want you to be a part of these anniversary celebratory moments. And also I've been doing these Disney concerts for them, which has been awesome with my husband. Kevin did Tarzan several years ago. He covered Josh Strickland as Tarzan. So we do these things together, and he does some Tarzan, I do some Newsies, and it's the best. So it's been the gift that keeps on giving, really.
Yeah. That just made my heart so warm. And just like, Okay. Anyway, to jump on to another role you've played, an art lab production.
Yes.
You were in the virtual Broadway revival of Amour.
I was.
How was that? What was it like having to set up a studio in your house?
Well, that part was hard, but everything else, it was awesome. I wish that would be on a live stage. Okay, Meg? But it was so much fun. It was a light in the darkness of the pandemic. We were living with my mom in upstate New York.
Okay.
So we did it in her basement. We set up this giant green screen. Actually, it was great. It was the best scenario, rather than in our tiny apartment, 1 bedroom with a toddler that's walking around.
Sure.
Or it could make noise in another room. But yeah, my mom watched Emerson while both Kevin and I were in it. So we had one green screen and lights and like the little ring light stand for your phone, and that I had such an appreciation for everybody that does tech.
Shout out to
Howie. Just it's so much work that we don't have to think about as actors. So I was just feeling like, wow, I'm so grateful for all those people and really wishing they were in my house or in my mom's house to help. But I learned a lot, and we still have a lot of that equipment and use them for self-tapes. So thank you so much. But yeah, and then the piece itself was just, it was so nice to connect with people. I mean, even though it was over Zoom, it was all people from our community, and I got to see their faces on a Zoom screen and connect with them. And our stage manager was so good about having us go around and say one thing about the day or ask a question. It was really heartwarming, and it made us feel like us again.
Right.
When during the pandemic, I think for 2 years not doing what we do, or even associated with it at all, I think you start to lose yourself. And it was such a blessing to feel like us again, even though it wasn't quite the same. We all were doing it together, and we were creating a piece of theater in the way that we could, in the best way we could, with the most difficult moment. And I think it came out really awesome. It was so fun. And also I loved how quirky it was.
Right.
It was so silly and fun and interesting and bizarre and weird. And Drew Gehling, we went to college together, nailed it. He was a great leader. It was my favorite. My best friend, Thea Brooks, was a film major. She also was an acting major with me at Carnegie. And she still brings up Amore. I don't think I told you this. It's one of her favorite things ever.
Yay!
Because it encapsulates the pandemic for theater people,
right.
of like what we had to do and what the efforts we would take in order to make theater happen, which I think it's awesome.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've talked about a couple of your roles, what has been your favorite out of every role you've ever played? That could include middle school productions. That could include community theater. Hard question, but
this is very hard.
I know.
Because I really do. I genuinely loved all of them.
Of course.
I'm going to bring up a random one just for fun.
I'm excited.
I loved playing Sister Mary Amnesia in Nonsense when I was in high school.
I love Nonsense.
It was so... Do you love it? I feel like
I've done it.
You have? Who'd you play?
Same.
The Sister Mary Amnesia?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wasn't it so fun? Like puppetry. We did puppetry.
Yeah.
No
one goes on show. It never gets the love that it deserves.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And it was sort of the first moment where I realized I was like, oh, I think I can sing soprano things, I think.
Yeah.
And like learning how to do the puppetry, and she's hilarious, and yeah.
That's amazing. Okay.
Now I didn't realize that we had that.
We're
common
bonding.
bond.
Yeah. Okay, so now to move on to roles that you have yet to play, that you would love to play. What are your dream roles?
So my dream role is, well, I would love to do voiceover stuff. I've been trying for a while, and it's just a different realm of theater and art that I haven't dipped my toes in. And it's very fun, and I love that I can do it at home. I mean, I still have a son who's young and is at home for most of the day, but it's a way that I can make creative things and do stories and stuff like that, but also be home and be a mom.
Yeah.
So it's just something different that I really want to try. Also, I love carousel. So Carrie Pipperidge is one role that I would love to play. Gosh, My Fair Lady, I also love. For some reason, I'm like clinging to the classics these days. I think because everything's pop. I'm like, oh God.
We're bonding so hard right now, and you don't even realize it. Because everything you're saying, I'm like, yes. 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 Anyway, continue.
Yeah, I think those. I love Great Comet as well. It's such a beautiful. Well, you look like you're in it.
Thank you. I love Great Comet.
Yeah.
We have a lot in common, Kara.
Should we sing together?
I wish one day.
Yeah.
One day, Meg. Okay, but I would love to hear you sing today.
Okay.
So would you like to sing us a little something?
I would love to.
Okay.
Let's do it.
To the
right
piano.
Now?
To the piano.
Should I get up?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead. I'll stay here.
His name is Mr. Snow, and an upstanding man is he. He comes home every night in his round bottom boat with a net full of herring from the sea. An almost perfect beau, as refined as a girl could wish. But he spends so much time in his round bottom boat that he can't seem to lose the smell of fish. The first time he kissed me, the whiff of his clothes knocked me flat on the floor of the room. But now that I love him, my heart's in my nose, and fish is my favorite perfume. Last night he spoke quite low, and a fair-spoken man is he. And he said, Miss Pepperidge, I'd like it fine if I could be wed with a wife. And indeed, Miss Pepperidge, if you'll be mine, I'll be yours for the rest of my life. Next moment we were promised, and now my mind's in a maze. For all I can do is look forward to that wonderful day of days. When I marry Mr. Snow, the flowers will buzz with the hum of bees, the birds will make a racket in the churchyard trees. When I marry Mr. Snow, then it's off to home we'll go. And both of us look a little dreamy-eyed, a-driving to the cottage by the ocean side, where the salty breezes blow. He'll carry me across the threshold, and I'll be as meek as a lamb. And he'll set me on my feet, and I'll say, kind of sweet, well, Mr. Snow, here I am! Then I'll kiss him so he'll know that everything will be as right can be, living in the cottage by the sea with me. For I love that Mr. Snow, that young seafaring, bold and daring, big be-whiskered, overbearing, darling
Wow, that was so good.
Aw, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you. I love her. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This was really fun.
I'm
Thank
glad.
you.
I had so much fun. And join us next time here at Broadway Interludes presented by Art Lab. Bye.
Bye-bye.